So good morning everyone, my name is Lalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. In this live session, we will be talking about today's Indian Express newspaper. This is the front page, you can go through it and we will see that there is nothing more to discuss on the front page. So we will directly come to our discussion over here and we will start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous lecture, okay. And then a cyclone headed for Bengal. We will talk about cyclone, which cyclone is headed for Bengal, how it is forming and what will be the intensity. We will see what are the conditions which can lead to the formation of a cyclone, okay. Afterwards, Navy replaces colonial terms. There are certain terms which has been replaced by Navy. Even you will see that in the past 1 year, Navy has also changed the flag of you can say Indian Navy. So we will talk about all those things and how we are trying to replace these colonial you can say legacies which has been left behind, okay. What is brain eating amoeba? So there is this particular you can say pathogen because of which this you can say a situation arises when a person goes through various stages of hallucinations, nausea, etc., and then ultimately they can go in coma and there are chances that they might die, okay. So we will talk about this brain eating amoeba. We will see what are the impacts and we'll talk about certain specifications of the parasite over here, okay. Then around the world there will be one news which we will cover, and then for your own read there will be one article. We will see a practice question in the last, okay. So let's start with the practice question which was given to you in the previous episode. Other than that, since MPPCS examination is around the corner, 23rd of June, so we have started this series, revision series. It will be a very quick revision of current affairs as well as PYQ practices. So you can go to Drishti PCS channel and you can access those videos. Links has been given in the description, okay. So where is the headquarter of BIMSTEC? So this was the question which we have taken. Why? Because BIMSTEC has recently got a status of legal personality, okay. How? They have actually acknowledged and signed their own charter. That would be the first charter by BIMSTEC, okay. We have talked about the BIMSTEC as an organization as well. When we are talking about the headquarter, it is in Dhaka, okay, in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So that is your answer, option C. Now moving further, and let's start with the today's first article. We will talk about in first article we will talk about Goa, and Goa is going to recreate a festival which is celebrated in China, that is Chinese Sky Lantern Fest, okay. So they will be actually reviving it, or you can say recreating it in Goa. But the thing is, there is this company which is sponsoring the event, but there are environmentalists and the conservationists. They are saying that this can be harmful for the olive Ridley turtles, okay. Olive Ridley turtles, we have talked about them various times, but today again we will go through some specifications, okay. So they are saying that if you are going for such a fest on the coast of Goa, there are chances that there are nesting sites. When we are talking about olive Ridley turtle, there are certain nesting sites which are over there and that can be impacted, okay. So let's see. In the event in Goa aimed at recreating the traditional Chinese Sky Lantern Festival by candlelit paper lanterns into sky, sparked outrage among the environmentalists and the wildlife conservationists, okay, because it is due to be held on a beach near nesting sites of the endangered olive Ridley turtles, okay. So nesting sites of the olive Ridley turtles are commonly known as aribara, okay. There are certain other nesting sites in India. We will talk about that as well. So they are saying that since there is a nesting site and you are going for these lanterns, and these lanterns might have some kind of you can say iron and wood related you can say raw material which is used in that. So because of which these nets will be there and they might get stuck into it, okay. Other than that also, if they enter into the sea, that will be harmful for the aquatic elements, okay. And when we are talking about this particular nets and the iron you can say net which is being used over, iron wires etc., which has been used over there, so these are biodegradable, no doubt, but it will take years to biodegrade, okay. So that is why it will still be harmful, okay. In the authorities, when we are talking about the Goa Director of Tourism, they have said that if they did not get any kind of application related to such a festival, but even if they get it, they will not allow any activity which will harm the environment and the ecosystem in that particular area, okay. So that is about that. They have appealed to the authority to cancel the fest, and it poses a severe threat to the beach's ecosystem wildlife and the marine life. Okay, conducting a festival with lights, noise and large crowds on the beach could threaten the safety of the turtles. The bamboo or the metal wire frame that is part of these lanterns, even if biodegradable, take months if not years to decompose and act as a trap for the wildlife, fish, dolphin, birds, turtles, etc. So we have talked about this particular thing. Releasing paper lanterns with a live wire into the sky is also a fire hazard. That is, there are various houses and shacks which are constructed on the beach side, and ultimately these are the dry months, and in the dry months there is a risk of forest fires, etc. So all those you can say concerns are there with respect to this particular festival. Okay, now you can say the company who is basically going for this particular festival, they have sought certain alternatives. They have said that they can change the location, they can change the time, etc. But again, that is other things. For us, it is important that we know about this olive ridley turtle, we know about the concerns which can be there. Okay, other than that, we will talk about this particular species, that is olive ridley turtle. Now when we are talking about these species, these are endangered. Okay, and in India there are this particular nesting sites. It is an example of nesting sites. It is called Aribada. So this is important term for you. Okay, other than when we are talking about the prominent coast where these nesting sites are there, that is basically on the Odisha coast. Okay, so here you can see there are areas like Gahir Matha. You know that there is this Gahir Matha Wildlife Sanctuary. Then there is this Rishikulia, mouth of Rishikulia river. Okay, and these areas are basically, you can say, the nesting sites. Okay, so please remember that when we are talking about the olive ridley turtles, they are endangered, and their nesting sites are found in Odisha on the mouth of Rishikulia river, that is Rishikulia beach, and then there is this Gahir Matha Wildlife Sanctuary on the coast. So these are the areas where we find these, and other than that, some species are also found in Goa. Okay, so that is about your olive ridley turtle. So for prelims, please remember this particular slide. Okay, now moving further, severe cyclone headed for Bengal May 26 IMD has said that, and recently I would suggest that you go and read about IMD, because IMD has also changed their logo recently. Okay, so you can go and check that as well. So that is why IMD can be important for your examination. The IMD India Meteorological Department Thursday said that cyclone is likely to develop in the Bay of Bengal, which is headed towards West Bengal and Bangladesh. Okay, so when we are talking about this particular area, when we see the cyclones, the cyclone activities are more in the area of Bay of Bengal. Okay, and there are cyclones in Arabian Sea as well, but the frequency is relatively lower. Okay, now when we are talking about the tropical cyclones, there are certain conditions on which these tropical cyclones develop. We will talk about that conditions later. First we will see it will be the first cyclone to form in 2024 in the North Indian Ocean Basin. North Indian Ocean Basin means that your Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea area. Okay, then here you can say it will be identified as the cyclone Rimal. This will be the name. You know that there is a particular nomenclature which is to be followed. Okay, and this name being proposed by Oman. Okay, so this particular fact can be important for you. A low pressure has developed over the southwest and the western central Bay of Bengal, intensified into a well developed or well marked low pressure system, intensifying further in the coming 2 days. Okay, so basically one thing is clear, that whenever we are talking about the cyclone, there will be a low pressure zone or low pressure system. Okay, and that will basically lead to a cyclone. Then you can say you can expect it to barrel into Bangladesh and adjoining West Bengal as severe cyclone by which has the wind speed nearly 89 to 117 km/h. That will be a severe cyclone. Okay, now 5th consecutive year when the cyclones developed in Bay of Bengal during the pre-monsoon phase. Mostly when we see monsoon phase are the time when we can expect such cyclone. In the pre-monsoon phase, this is the 5th time, or consecutive 5th year it has developed over here. In the last few years there were certain cyclones like Amphan in 2020, Yas in 2021, Asani in 2022, Mocha in 2023. And when we are talking about the Arabian Sea cyclone, Nisagra was there in 2020 and Tokte was in 2021. So these are the name of cyclones. You can remember these names. There are chances that they can ask you, like they can take 2-3 names like Asani, Yas, Mocha has been in news, and you know what kind of you can say terms are there, or they are related to what kind of options. Okay, so they can give you options like you can say storms, cyclones, or some kind of you can say ancient coinage. Okay, so all these things UPSC has tendency to done. Now, how tropical storms are formed. Now basically we will talk about this. When we are talking about the climatologically, as I told you, in late May and the start of June is the time when we can expect such cyclones. Okay, so that is the time when monsoon will be coming to India, so we can expect such cyclones. And when we are talking about the you can say frequency of cyclones, more is in Bay of Bengal and less is there in Arabian Sea. Okay, now how tropical storms are found, here you can say first requirement is your temperature. Temperature should be nearly around 26 degree 27 degree Celsius. Okay, then there should be low pressure. Okay, you know that wind blows from high pressure to the low pressure zones. Okay, since it will be a low pressure zone, wind will come from everywhere and concentrate over here. Okay, and then you will see, since temperature is high, these you can say winds will start to rise, convection normal. Okay, they will go and form these clouds over there. Okay, because of the Coriolis force. Okay, there will be this activity. Because of the Coriolis force, there will be a movement, circular movement in that. Okay, and ultimately it will lead to a cyclone. As the you know amount of moisture, as the amount of you can say low pressure increases, the more wind will be there, and ultimately the cyclone will be more and more severe. Okay, so these are two conditions. One thing, there should be a wind speed as well. Okay, these are the three conditions that should be there for creation of the tropical cyclone. Okay, now in the next picture here you can see, when cyclone is developed, there are certain components. Okay, so center of the cyclone is considered as the eye of the cyclone. This will be the eye of the cyclone, and these are the clouds which will be formed over here. Mostly you will see cumulonimbus clouds. Cumulonimbus clouds are the rain bearing clouds. They will be heavy, they will be dark in color. Okay, and these there will be lightning like situations, etc. And here you can see the convection will be, hot air will start to rise. They will you know go in the upper atmosphere. They will cool down and converted into, condense into clouds. Okay, and because of these clouds we will see a rainfall. So this is basically about your tropical cyclones. Okay, and the you can say in upper atmosphere there will be a counter clockwise this you can say circulations, or you can say movement will be counter clockwise. Okay, now moving further, next article is basically related to Navy. As we see that Navy is trying to change certain narratives, so we will talk about that. Hold on a second. Okay, Navy does away with the ship terms jack staff and jack. Okay, so these terms were used for the flags. Okay, when we are talking about the flags, these relatively smaller size, if a flag is of a relatively smaller size, these are called jacks. Okay, and the staff or the shaft on which these are furled, that is basically called jack staff. Okay, so these terms has been replaced with the national flag and the national flag staff. Okay, so for the staff they will use national flag staff, and then for the you can say jack flag they will use national flag. Okay, so these terms jack and jack staff were, you know, some British conventions. You know that jack is like king's jack. Okay, so when we are talking about these terms, they have origin in the, you can say, from the British era, because they had this monarchy, and because of which these terms has come with them, and we continue to use them. But recently that has changed. Other than that, there are certain other changes has been done. For Admiral, a new batch has been designed, and then when we are talking about the flag of Navy, they have designed, this one is the new flag. Okay, in 2023 December around, they have come up with this idea. Okay, earlier when we are talking about, these were the flags. Okay, this is the during the you know time of you can say after 1947 to 1950 we had this particular flag, because earlier Navy used to have this flag. Okay, then 1950 to 2001 we had this flag, okay, this cross was there, there was this flag of India, okay. In 2004 to 2001 to 2004 we had this flag. We have done away with this particular cross and we have came up with this anchor and the Satyamev Ashok Chakra, okay, this national emblem, okay, and there was this Satyamev Jayate which was written over here. So that is another in 2001 to 2004 this was the flag, and 2004 to 14 we have come up with this flag. We have taken this cross again, and there was this national emblem which was there present over there in the center. But recently we have come up with this particular new flag, wherein we have this golden octagonal shape which is present over here, okay. This shape has been taken from the seal of Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So you can say from their seal it has been taken, okay. That was an octagonal shield, so they have taken this particular thing, and then this anchorage, or you can say anchor, and the Satyamev Jayate and the national emblem is there in the national flag, okay. So here there is this small strip which says Satyamev Jayate. So all these things are the new changes which has been made recently. Coming to the article again, the Navy has changed names of jack staff and the jack on board ships to national flag staff and the national flag, okay. Then here you can say jack refers to the flag in naval parlance. Usually the national flag and the jack staff is a short pole on the bow of the ship which on which it is flown, okay. So basically for the national flag they used the term that is jack, and for the shaft on which it was used to bow, that is basically your on the bow there was this a place on which this flag was flown, and that is basically called jack staff, okay. Now we have changed this name according to our convenience, and now this is a British naval tradition, as I told you already. The regulation for the Navy ceremonial conditions and the service and miscellaneous regulation 1969, this is the statute on which we have made these changes, has been amended by the central government using the power under the Naval Act 1957. Now central government has derived this power from this particular act, that is Naval Act 1957. Changes has been done in the naval ensign which was affected in September 2022. A new badge of the rank of admiral officers has been created. This is the badge which has been created recently, and when we are talking about the ensign which has been changed in September 2022, okay. And that is to do away with the British legacy. Jack can have a diminutive sense denoting something smaller or slightly small than the normal. Thus it was used to describe a small flag flown on the ships of this particular period, and the flag staffs rigged on the bowsprit, okay. So basically the size of this flag is relatively lower, okay, so and that is why they used to call it jack, okay. Now in September 2023, in a move to distance itself from the colonial past, the Indian Navy adopted a new naval ensign or a naval flag, doing away with the British inspired George cross, okay. So this cross has been removed, and we have this particular flag now. From the date, that is September 2023, it has been adopted, okay. So that is why it becomes important for. Now these two paragraphs are basically description of these earlier flag and the new flag. Here you can say the octagonal shape draws inspiration from the Shivaji Maharaj Raj Mudra, or the seal of the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, okay. So basically they have taken this octagonal shape from the seal of the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, okay. And it represents 8 directions for cardinal and the intercardinal directions, and it symbolizes the Indian Navy's maritime outreach, okay. In December 2023, Indian Navy introduced new badge for the rank of the admiral officers. So these are the 2 changes which has been done by Indian Navy. I would suggest that please remember this particular part, because that can be important, from where they have inspired the octagonal shape and what is the, you can say, symbol which has been used inside it, okay. Now that is about this article. Now we can move further. That is brain eating amoeba, okay. Naegleria florai. So I would say that we write it Naegleria fowleri. This is basically a single celled organism, or you can say amoeba, okay. So basically this is you can say organism which is responsible for a particular situation in the mankind, okay. So here you can see, we will see talk about this. A 5-year-old girl succumbed to PAM, okay. So PAM is basically primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. Okay, so basically PAM is a condition in which these amoeba will enter into your nervous system, or you can say basically from your nostrils it will enter into your brain. Okay, and in the brain they will start to swell the cells over there, and these cells in the brain will start to destroy. Okay, ultimately because of which there will be certain symptoms like nausea, fever, headache, all these things in the start. In the later phases you will feel some kind of heavy headaches, and then there will be this hallucinations which will be there over there. You will start to forget things. All these things will happen there. Afterwards you can go into a brain coma, and then there can be a death. Okay, so this is about your brain eating amoeba. Now we will come to the article over here. Now this N. fowleri is a free living amoeba found in the warm freshwater bodies. Okay, so this is the habitat where they will found from freshwater bodies. Now note it, it is not found in the polluted bodies, etc. These are found in the freshwater bodies. Okay, then lakes and the rivers, they will found. In the rare cases you will find them in the poorly maintained swimming pools and recreational settings across the world. Okay, they survive for the short period in the warm environment up to 46 degree Celsius. That is the kind of temperature they can, you can say, resist, or they can actually survive on. Okay, so that is basically your habitat of a N. fowleri amoeba. Okay, now when we are talking about these amoebas are single celled organisms with the ability to alter their shape. They will have this you can say pseudopods. Pseudopods are something, they will these are temporary, you can say, arms which these amoeba will have. They have this effect of stretching, retracting. So basically they can change their shape as well. Okay, so here you can say they can alter their shape primarily by extending and retracting pseudopods temporary arms like projections. Okay, they consume other living microorganisms and such as bacteria, and they can also survive on the dead organic matters. Okay, or you can say that these are scavengers as well. Okay, so these are the certain facts about the amoeba. This can be really important for your prelims examination. These two paragraphs are quite important. Other than that, these are fine, but these two paragraphs are quite important for you. Okay, so I'll repeat it. It is N. fowleri. It is a free living amoeba. It is found in the freshwater bodies, lakes, rivers, etc. They can also be found in poorly maintained swimming pools and the recreational activities. That is, there is a certain temperature they can resist, that is 46 degrees Celsius. Okay, so up to that warm temperature they can, you can say, survive. And when we are talking about these amoebas, these are single celled organisms. They have ability to change their shape. They have this pseudopod temporary arm. They can retract it, expand it. Okay, so that is about amoebas, and they basically live on other bacteria, other microorganisms, and they can also survive on the you can say dead organic materials. Okay, so that is about amoeba. This is very important. How does N. fowleri infect people? Now if you let's say there is a fresh water in which this particular amoeba is present, and you are drinking that water, it will not affect your health, because that is not the way they will reach to your brain. Okay, now they will affect your, you can say, brain when they are actually consumed from your nostril path. Okay, so if you basically inhale through the nose, okay, and then they will get inside your olfactory nerve tissues. Okay, olfactory nerve tissues. Now these olfactory nerves are present somewhere over here. Okay, this particular part over here, so that is connected to your brains, and ultimately after this you consume them, or you can say inhale them from your nostril area, and then they will go to this olfactory nerve tissues, and then they will get inside the brain, and they will start to swell the brain tissues over there, swell the brain cells over there, and ultimately these cells will get destroyed, and that is how this particular infection will happen. Okay, now if you are swallowing the contaminated water, does not cause any kind of infection, nor does the contact with the infected person. Okay, so since it is not communicable, and that is why it is a very rare phenomena. When we are talking about this particular, you can say, cases in India, we have nearly 20 cases till now. Okay, since the first time it was diagnosed in 1966, and since then we have only 20 cases. When we are talking about world around, there are only 381 cases. Okay, so we can say it is a very rare issue. When we are talking about what are the symptoms, here you can say in the initial stage there will be headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, etc. When we are talking about the later stage, there can be stiff neck, confusions, seizures, hallucinations, and eventually patient will slip into the state of coma. Okay, most people with PM die within 1 to 18 days after the symptoms begin to start, and after 5 days you will be going into coma. Okay, so this is basically about this particular disease. Okay, and how can PM be treated? When we are talking about the treatment, there are no particular treatment which is available. When we see, there are certain drugs which are basically used in this particular you can say time, that is antifungal drugs are used, antibacterial drugs, antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial, all these drugs are used. But again, even after the use of these drugs, there are chances that 95 to 97% people might die if they get infected. Okay, so that is about this particular article. You can go through it once again. Please remember, these two paragraphs are quite important for you, because UPSC will focus on the background linkages. If something has happened, they will ask about amoeba, they will ask about the N. fowleri. So please remember this. Okay, now moving further. In the international relations, when we are talking about, so Hague is to rule today on the South Africa's request to hold Israel Rafah offensives. Okay, so basically you know that South Africa has also gone for the case of a genocide against Israel. Okay, and then there are other countries which are also supporting them. When we are talking about Hague is the International Court of Justice. They will rule on this particular issue of South Africa's request to hold the Israel's Rafah offensive, because there are these situations going on. Okay, now we will not go into details of this particular article today, because they will rule today on it. So we will wait for the ruling, and if there is something significant, we will discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so with that is about today's discussion. Now for your own read, there is this article, Integrated Theatre Command. We have talked about this particular discussion at least 2 times in our newspaper discussion. So you can go through this particular article if you have time today. Okay, then for the last part, here there is this practice question: in which habitat is amoeba commonly found? Arctic regions, desert regions, freshwater environments, and high mountain peaks. Okay, so you have to choose the correct answer and reply in the comment box. With that, I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Thank you.